To be a teacher is to carry a promise of integrity, fairness, and compassion to every learner. And that's where things gets real. Because someday soon, we will face moments that will test our patience, our fairness, and our integrity. Moments that will make you ask, what should I do? Good day, future educators. I am Jeanette, and today we will dive into one of the most important foundations of our profession, the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers. But don't you worry, because this won't be your typical read the articles kind of lesson. Instead, we will leave it through real life stories, tough choices, and honest reflections. So, before we start, take a deep breath with me. Inhale and exhale. Now, I want you to close your eyes for a while. Kajutra. Alright. Now imagine this. You are walking towards your classroom because you are now a teacher. As you entered the room, you saw 30 pairs of eyes are looking at you, curious, trusting, waiting to learn. In that moment, you realize that you are not just teaching lessons. You are shaping character and values. Now, as you hold that image in mind, you standing before your students, remember this. Every choice you make, every word you say, becomes part of their learning. That is why today's lesson isn't just about knowing the code. It's about living it. Now, open your eyes. How was it? To guide us in this journey, here's what we aim to achieve together. By the end of this session, you should be able to understand the purpose and scope of the Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers, identify the ethical and professional responsibilities in real-life teaching situations, demonstrate ethical decision-making guided by the code and DepEd policies, and lastly, recognize how teacher ethics connects to teacher well-being and the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, or the PPST. The Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers is more than just a list of rules. It is our compass as educators. It was established through Board for Professional Teachers Resolution number 435 series of 1997 to guide every licensed teacher in the Philippines. It begins with the preamble, reminding us that teaching is a noble vocation, that teachers are the moral agents of the state, shaping not just intellect but character. Article 1 defines its scope, covering all licensed teachers whether in public or private institutions, formal or non-formal education alike. Now, in our last discussion on teacher well-being and the PPST, we learned that a great teacher isn't just skillful or smart, but ethical, balanced, and humane. And that's why this code exists, to protect our profession, our conscience, and our peace of mind. Now, instead of memorizing sections, let's put the code into action. You will face 4 real-life scenarios, and then after each one, think about what would an ethical teacher do. I will give you the time you want. No, you can pause the video, and then we will talk through the reasoning together. Are you ready? Are you ready? Alright, let's start with our first story. I call this one The Morning Rush. It's Monday morning, and you are running late for your first class because, well, traffic was terrible. The moment you walk in, your students start laughing. Ma'am, late na po lagi ka. You feel embarrassed and a bit defensive. Now imagine, you are that teacher. What would you do? Would you blame the traffic and go straight to teaching? Would you apologize sincerely and promise to manage your time better? Or would you scold the student for being disrespectful. Some of you might think, but it's not my fault, it's the traffic. Or other might say, that student was rude. I need to assert authority. Both are understandable reactions. But here's where ethics step in. The ethical choice is B, to apologize sincerely and take responsibility. Article 2 reminds us that teachers are moral agents of the state. We model discipline and respect. Article 4 calls us to uphold the dignity of the profession. When we show humility, we teach accountability far better than any lecture could. Being professional doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means owning them gracefully. That's the kind of leadership students remember. Now that we have looked at how we deal with ourselves, let's move to a moment where our patience is tested by others. Picture this. Class just ended. A parent walks in, clearly upset, and says, "Why did my child get such a low grade? You must have been unfair." Your heart starts pounding. You know your grading was objective and fair. What would you do? Would you argue and defend yourself? Would you calmly invite her to sit, listen, and explain your grading policy? Or step out and call the principal? Some of us might say, "I'll just call the principal. I don't want the drama." Others might think, "I need to stand my ground." But here's the truth. Being right is not the same as being ethical. The ethical choice is B, to stay calm, listen, and respond respectfully. Because Article 8 tells us to make fair, honest judgments about learners' performance. Article 9 reminds us that parents are partners in education. And Article 11 encourages us to maintain composure and dignity even when emotions run high. When we listen instead of react, we show empathy and strength at the same time. You know, ethics isn't just about avoiding conflict. It is about handling it with grace. Alright? Now, let's step outside the classroom because the real ethical challenges happen in the faculty room. Now imagine this. You are sitting in the faculty room. Two colleagues start talking. Damn, na-hire ko daw na siya kay suod siya as principal. They laugh and it's awkward. You know the teacher you're talking about and she doesn't deserve that. What would you do? Would you stay silent because it's safer not to get involved? Would you gently remind them that gossip is unprofessional? Or would you join in because it's just a casual talk? Let's be honest. Gossip can be tempting, no? We sometimes justify it by saying, wala man ko gasultig daotan. I'm just sharing, I'm just describing." But silence can also mean agreement. The ethical choice is B, to respectfully stop the gossip. Why? Because Article 5 encourages us to build positive, respectful relationship with colleagues.
Article
It
6.
also reminds us to uphold fairness and proper conduct toward higher authorities. Deputy Orders number 49 series of 2006 and series of 2022 both emphasize professionalism and responsible communication, even in private or online spaces. When we protect others' dignity, we also protect the integrity of teaching profession. Remember, what we tolerate becomes the culture of our school. We've seen ethical challenges in person, but now let's move to a modern dilemma, one that happens online. Now, think about this. It's Friday night. You are exhausted and frustrated after a long week. You open Facebook and type, "Some students today don't even try. How can they expect to pass class if they're always on their phones? You don't name anyone. You're just venting. After a few hours, parents start reacting and the post spreads. Now, what would you do? Would you keep the post because you didn't name anyone? Or would you delete it and reflect before posting? Or would you post again to explain your side? Many may think, but I didn't name names. True. But ethics isn't just about intention. It's about impact. The ethical choice is B. Delete the post and reflect. Because Article 11 reminds us to live with dignity and moral integrity in all circumstances. Article 10 cautions teachers to avoid actions that might discredit the profession. Deputy Order Number 49 Series of 2022 specifically warns against unguarded online communication that can harm others or the school's image. Professionalism doesn't stop when classes end. It is a 24 hours commitment. So, before posting, pause and ask yourself, will this uplift or harm the trust people have in teachers? Because every post, every word reflects who we are, educators, even beyond the classroom. And that brings us full circle. From our classrooms to our communities, from our words to our actions. Ethics isn't just about knowing the rules. It's about living the values behind them. Now let's take a moment to breathe in and think back. Inhale. Exhale. From the teacher who arrived late, to the parent who challenged the grade, to the gossiping colleagues and even the online post, each story reminds us that teaching isn't about being perfect. It's about making conscious, value-driven choices even when no one's watching. The Code of Ethics for Professional Teachers is our compass. It points us back to what truly matters. Article 2 reminds us of our duty to the state and our role as moral agents. Article 5 and 6 teach us professionalism, respect, and accountability in our teaching community. Articles 8 and 9 guide us to be fair and compassionate toward learners and parents. Article 11 calls us to live with dignity and integrity, not just as teachers, but as human beings. And when we connect this to teacher well-being and the Philippine Professional Standards for Teachers, or the PPST, especially Domain 7, we realize something powerful. When we act ethically, we also protect our well-being, because integrity brings peace and peace sustains purpose. So, really, ethics, well-being, and professionalism are not three separate things. They are one continuous journey. Together, they form the heart of who we are as teachers, not just people who teach lessons, but people who live them. See, the Code of Ethics isn't just words. It is our daily guide in decisions we make. Teaching will challenge your patience, your emotions, and your principles. But every challenge is a chance to grow, to prove that ethics isn't about perfection, but about integrity in every choice. So, ask yourself, what kind of teacher do I want to be? One who merely teaches lessons, or one who lives by them? The Code of Ethics reminds us that our power as teachers isn't just in our knowledge, it's in our conscience. When we teach with fairness, respect, and compassion, we honor not just our profession, but the future we are helping to build. So, future educators, keep that promise alive. This has been Jeanette. Thank you, and may you always teach with heart and integrity. Goodbye.